Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another AM podcast here. Today is Wednesday, April 3rd, and we have special guests joining us from Indian Creek, Coach Mike Cottis. Morning, Coach. How's everything going down there?
Good morning. Like everybody else in the valley, we are soaking wet.
Absolutely. The rain felt like it started in the morning and didn't stop until I think it's still going. I don't think it even stopped at all. So, what's the field looking like right now?
Well, the field is. I'm at the high school. The field's down by our middle school in Mingo, and it's about 20 minutes away. I haven't even taken a look at it in a couple of days. I know it's got to be underwater.
Yeah.
It's the unfortunate thing of Ohio or Midwest baseball in the spring, and I wish we could do like the major leagues and open up in the South, but we don't have that luxury.
Harrison Central got the jump on everybody here with that.
Well, we actually moved our game. We were supposed to play them Monday and Wednesday this week, and so we moved our game Monday out to their place, and we went ahead and played Wednesday's game out their place on Monday. So we got a doubleheader in then.
There you go.
Yeah. So
nothing wrong with that. I know. I'm actually getting phone calls and videos right now from a parent that's down at State Lake taking pictures of my field down there, and let me tell you, it's not looking so hot.
I'd imagine State Lake is pretty much underwater. Coach Colopy out there at Edison's probably. I know he's always been thrilled he got the turf to get out of the lake there, but he's got to be real happy right now.
Oh, for sure. And I also just saw a video posted on Buckeye Locals field. I think from the roadside all the way to their parking lot in the front of their school now is completely underwater. So their football field, their baseball field. I don't think the softball field is that close. I think it's a little further back. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But all underwater. I mean, there's not a blade of grass that you can see. There's just all water. So everybody is unfortunately in the same situation.
Yeah, same boat. That's what we're in right now.
Yeah, same boat. So, Coach Cottis, give a little introduction to everybody who's joining the podcast. Tell us who you are, how long you've been coaching, and give us a little background about you.
I'm Mike Cottis. I'm a graduate of the old Wintersville High School in 1992. Always wanted to come back and contribute back to the community. So I took over the head coaching job here at Indian Creek in 2001. So I'm in year 24, if you still count the COVID year.
Okay.
As the head coach, of course, did some JV years before that. My brother Randy has been my assistant all these years, so we're both, 24 years, and I've been pretty fortunate. I've had the same assistants for the most part, almost all those years. I've had a few faces come and go, but we've had some pretty good continuity with our staff.
Nice. Now, who's running your junior high and everything like that?
So my varsity assistants, I have Dave Kell, who's also assistant athletic director here.
Okay.
And I have John Ziegler, who actually is one of the guys I coached when I was coaching out at Edison in the late 90s, doing JV ball out there. And we've just always remained really good friends. So when he had the chance to come back and help, he decided to jump over to the creek side and help us out. And I have Teek Mort, who has a great baseball reputation around the valley. He was head coach at Steubenville Central for quite a few years, went to a state title with them. And so he's helping us out on the varsity. On the JVs, I have Mitch Huckel, who's one of my old players. He's been coaching JVs since I think 2013, somewhere around there. And Jim Mort, that's Teek's younger brother. He's been helping me with the JVs for almost as long. So all these guys are very valuable. They put in a ton of time. The junior high level, we have Coach Usich down there. His brother used to be the head coach at Brook.
Okay.
And he has some kids he has a son that's in the middle school. So he took over the middle school program this year. And we got some really good guys coming up. I'm really excited about the young talent that's there.
Yeah, we'll talk about the players here in a little bit in your youth program and junior high and all that. We'll talk about those players coming up because I've got to know these kids throughout the years with just the youth and travel ball and some things like that. So you're definitely set up for success at the lower levels for sure. Let's talk about how good it is to have some of your young, old players come back and be coaches for you. To take your system that you coach them and then be able to translate that into your JV and your junior high programs.
Yeah, that's very important. Over the years, we've had quite a few guys come back that played in our program, and maybe they were working their way through college and they had some time where they could contribute. Fortunately for them, but unfortunately for us, they went out and got a job maybe that didn't allow them the time to do it, so they couldn't continue with us. But we've had some guys come back over the years, and we always appreciate that. We have guys that are in college right now that have played for us the last couple of years that have already reached out and said they want to come back and help when they're done. And the tough part is, when they come back, they have to do it on a volunteer basis. We don't have that many paid spots. So that sometimes deters some guys. But I know we have some old players that are coaching other teams around the Valley because they had the opportunity to go get paid. And I can't fault them for that,
Yeah.
But, I appreciate what they did for us, and I love that they're, passing on the knowledge to someone else. So,
yeah, I know here we had Coach Bouillog for a couple of years, and now we got Coach Penner. So,
yeah,
thank you for that.
both great guys. Yep,
absolutely. You've been there for 24 years. At what time do you think to bring in some of your old players that have a youth of knowledge that have played at the higher level, collegiately or whatever, do you go and say, I'm going to give you a paid spot and kind of bring some youth to your coaching staff? Has that ever been something that you've processed or thought about?
Yeah, that's a tough one because the guys that have been with me for so long, they're so loyal and they've done so much. I'm not going to run them off. That's for sure.
Right. No, I agree.
I love them. They're like my brothers. And, but yeah, it's funny. The guys that are playing ball right now, still playing in college, we got, Aiden Orr, who's in his freshman year and at Oakland, and Jack Amos is playing up in Northern Ohio in a JUCO. And we still got Josh Speaker, who's a 2019 grad, who's finishing up at Bethany. Cy Howell, we got guys, playing at quite a few places, and I pick their brains all the time, because they're with a group of young college coaches, guys that are working their way up or whatever, maybe trying to get something bigger. And I love getting, I'm texting those guys and saying, hey, what do you guys do in this situation? How do you do this stuff? So I'm still learning the game too. There's always something to steal off someone else,
Absolutely. I mean, and I've had this conversation with a lot of the Ohio coaches that I've interviewed. Having those coaches meetings at the beginning of the year with the seminars and having coaches from all over college and professional come in, and you're able to pick their brains after they speak or even while they're speaking. Yep. It's definitely beneficial for guys like us who aren't in college anymore or around the youth players to be able to steal something from them. So
yeah, and one of the guys that's still playing right now at Franciscan is David Ferroni, who was a heck of a catcher for us. And I could see a guy like that wanting to come back and help. And I think some of these guys could come back and be really good coaches. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about 2023 here. How did your season end? How did it go? Did you meet your expectations? Did you not?
We did not. Unless you're winning that last game of the season, you're not meeting your expectations.
Right.
We had a really good year. We got up to 19 wins, which is very successful. We were in the OVAC championship against a really tough St. Clairsville team, and it was a dogfight to the end, and we just didn't get the big hits when we needed them. So, and then the sectionals, we lost to John Glenn, who has one of the top players in the country that played for the Seattle Mariners now, and actually was in there. He cracked their lineup a couple times for spring training down in Florida.
Cole Emerson.
Yeah. yeah, we came across a solid team, and of course, he did some things to hurt us in that game, and that's baseball. But
Yeah,
we were, we had a good core of seniors last year, but we also had a lot of young guys playing, a lot of freshmen and sophomores. So those guys this year have now taken the reins, and they know what it takes to try to win some of those big games.
absolutely. Now, I know Aiden Orr, he's a special player. Coach Perkins always had great things to say about him. But what is it like seeing somebody like Colt Emerson come in and see that type of player live and in person?
Yeah, he hit the very first ball that he contacted in a game was a foul ball, and he turned on it and hit it over the elementary school, which is down our right field line. And the sound that came off his bat was just different, and our dugout, the guys who weren't in the field, you could just hear them all go, "Oh," it was just, it was something about it, and watching him take infield, he was different. He was smooth but you mentioned Aiden. I'd put him up against Colt any day, though, man. I mean, he's a special player too, and it's just, I don't know if it's Central Ohio. Not saying Colt's he's a great player, obviously.
Yeah,
they get a little more exposure out there than we do here in the Valley.
He's definitely a little closer to Columbus area, so it probably gets a lot of attention.
Yep.
Now let's talk about 2024. I feel like you're returning a lot of good players, a lot of good up-and-coming young players that are going to get a good chance to get some playing time this year. Who's your returning players and key players to make a good run this year?
Well, I'm just going to kind of go around the field here.
Okay.
Behind the plate, we have a sophomore named Hunter Rusnak. He got a lot of time last year as a freshman when we had a senior Cy Howell who caught last year for us. There were times when Cy pitched, so the next day we would DH him, and Hunter would get some time behind the plate, and he did a great job for us. So he's taken over the reins behind the plate. Coming back at first base is senior Landon Pinnell, who is an absolute beast. He's a gym rat, and I mean he looks like the big softball guy that's going to be playing in the infrat league. I mean, he is just built right now, and he's swinging a hot bat. At second base, we got Nick Maurer coming back. We have two seniors. So Landon and Nick Maurer are our two seniors. Nick's another one. Him and Landon would meet every day in the gym. We got a fellow named Eddie Kostecki that trains those guys, and they would meet every morning, 5 a.m. before school, and even throughout the summer. And they were busting their rear ends in the gym. And Nick's got that beach bod right now, so I tease him all the time. Hey, you got to show them guns off. He's not a very big fellow, but he's ripped. So yeah, he's a solid kid. My light just went out. Here we go. At shortstop, we got Gavin Pinnell returning. He played there last year as a freshman. He's also one of our top arms. Third base, we have Stan Amos, who took over for Jaden Vanderborn, who was one of our seniors last year. Jaden unfortunately had an injury at the end of the year, and he played a great third base for us. When he got hurt, though, we had to put Stan in. Stan's a junior right now, and he's done a great job for us there. Rounding out the outfield, returning in center field is junior Ty Householder. He's been a starter for us out there since he's a freshman. Legit D1 prospect, no doubt about it. With him in the outfield is Sal Barcalow, another really good college prospect. He plays in left field. And we have Caleb Bodo, who is a junior, and he missed last year with a shoulder injury. So he started for us as a freshman, but missed all of last year. Now he's back playing in the outfield. So those are most of our returning lettermen. We have Silas Hyde, who also plays in the outfield. He's one of our top left-handed pitchers. He pitched a lot as a freshman.
Okay.
And then we have Ian Starkey, who also lettered as an outfielder last year. So we have a lot of experience coming back. I hope I'm not forgetting our letterman. I'm looking at my list here. I got them all here. A lot of experience back, even though we lost 5 seniors.
Nice. I mean, that's always nice. And even with your 2 seniors, when they graduate this year, it sounds like you still have a loaded cast at your sophomore and junior levels to, not really take a fall off. Where some of the classes around here, they're having, we don't want to say rebuild. That's not the name we want to use. but they are definitely a younger cast out there playing. Let's talk about recruiting. I know I follow you on X now. I guess it's not really Twitter. But Aiden Orr seemed to play really well this summer with the team that what was it, out of Nebraska or something like that?
Yeah, they were out in western Nebraska.
Okay, and he did really well this summer. How do you go about with your recruiting process? Do you use a specific video tool? Obviously, we use X or Twitter now to kind of like get the videos out. How do you handle your recruiting process for your players?
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of public stuff out there on X, that we'll put on. But I do a lot of private messaging of the coaches through either I would still call it Twitter, through Twitter.
Yeah.
And a lot of private messages there, tons of phone calls. I've been on the phone a lot with guys for our current junior class. I'm old school. These guys want to hear it from us verbally, what these kids are like, not just between the lines. What are they like in the off season? Are they putting the time in the weight room? The big thing is they want to know where they're playing at in the summer, because that's when those coaches are able to go see them.
Right.
Even back in our day, it was, those coaches could make it to our high school games. That was the only way they were going to see us, and then we played Legion ball in the summer, and they would make it around. But now you very rarely see them at high school games. It's more summer circuit. But as far as, promoting the kids out there, we're getting as much video as we can and sending around. Field level's another tool, but it was good when it first started. I'm not sure how many coaches actually get on there anymore.
Yeah, I was on field level, I think probably 4 or 5 years ago, when I was kind of helping back, behind the doors there at Madonna. Field level was a big thing. And I don't think it's really kind of taken off. There's so many things now that are out there. I think there's Ballpark. There was an app that I was using for my son, and I think it crashed. So I don't even think it's even working anymore. It seems like Twitter is the thing that is holding up now.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff, the recruiting things you see, NCSA and all that, I don't want to offend anybody, but a lot of them are just money grabs.
I agree. I think I forget which coach it was. I'd have to go back in, but I think it was either Todd Cover or even Monroe Central's coach yesterday was talking about how we didn't have social media, so they were having to send DVDs out. It might have even been Coach Colopy. I think it was Coach Colopy sending out DVDs of the videos of the players. That's how long he's been there and how.
Yeah, I remember doing that. I could go back to even VHS tapes. So.
I was too young for that, at least for recruiting wise, anyway. So with your class that you have now, obviously Householder is the name that comes to mind that I've seen getting his name out there the most. What other players do you have that are getting some looks at?
If you're our two seniors, unless they change their mind, are not planning on playing in college. I think they both can. But they have their sights set on academics, and they're going to go do their thing and get their degree and get out. And I respect that. I mean, that's what they're there for anyway. So if we take those two out of the equation and we go to our junior class, we got some guys who for sure can play at a high level, and we've mentioned Ty, and Sal Barcelo has a live arm, and he's really hitting the ball well right now. So, those two guys, if you go around, out of the junior class, some of the other guys have potential to play there. We just got to fine tune their skills for sure.
Yeah.
And then, the sophomores, everybody gets antsy now because they want those offers right away. So-and-so verbally committed to whatever school, and a lot of times those things don't even pan out, when they're sophomores, freshmen, whatever. But these sophomores that we have right now are, they're legit arms and they're legit college prospects. What level, we don't know yet. They're still maturing.
Yeah, absolutely. What I can tell you is your 8th grade class specifically are like grown men compared to our junior high program here. But we're mainly kind of 7th grade loaded here. Our 8th grade class still trying to figure out what they want to do. But from your 8th grade freshman and sophomore class, I mean, we can even add your junior class. I mean, you're set up pretty nice. What can you do to keep them at Creek, though? You know, like you said, we talked about the weather. You don't know if your field's going to be playable just, you know, in the next couple of days. Edison's over there with the facility that they have. Steubenville now has their facility. Toronto's got a turf infield. What can Coach Cottis do to make sure that these kids stay at Creek so that you can go on a run that you're set up for in the next few years?
Yeah, you know, in regard to if we're referring to like practice time, when it gets to where, you know, those guys can get on their turf, but we have turf we can go to also. We just go out to the football stadium, you know.
Oh, nice.
And it's no different. It's no different. We throw down the bases and we go at it, you know. So in that regard, we do not lose out on outdoor practice time. If they're outside, we're outside also. You know?
Nice. I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were utilizing the football field. I know our softball team uses the football field. That definitely is a game changer. I mean, to be able to not miss out and still get the same reps that everybody else is getting. So that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. So we're not losing out in that fashion. As far as off-season workouts, you know, we're doing what everybody else is doing, whatever's within the guidelines of OSHA. You know, and we were fortunate when they built the new high school and everything. Obviously, they didn't want us in the new gym here, so they set up the Cross Creek Elementary building with an all-purpose floor. They hooked us up with a batting cage in there. There's room in there for us to get 2 arms going off to the side, off the mounds, while we got a machine or coaches are throwing in the cage.
Yeah.
You know, and then we have areas, you know, where we can do ground balls and things like that. You know, we can't do a full infield in there. It's not that big, but it's big enough to get our work in. You know, so we're able to do just as much as the others in that regard. So
see, that's a game changer for me because, like I said, I don't know a lot about the coaching styles and what every school has to accommodate everybody. So the fact that you're able to accommodate and be able to do that, that's eye-opening for me because I didn't know that y'all had, you know, that type of stuff to continue going.
And they're talking, you know, I don't know how soon it's going to happen, but I would say within the next 3 years that money is going to be available to do a bigger indoor facility. I'm going to point behind me because it's actually behind me. If you've been up to the new high school where the parking lot is, the old band room. I don't know if you're familiar with the old band room. As you're coming up the hill, it's on the left. That is now our weight room there. That was converted when they built a new building. That was converted into weight room / wrestling room. It's half and half. There's a lot of the wheels are turning on a facility being built right next to that weight room. That would be a really big indoor facility. Like we're talking indoor football turf and basketball courts and, you know, the ability where we could do whole infields and things like that in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to go back on something that you were talking about earlier. You were talking about a lifting coach. Does he work for the school, or is he somebody that is off campus that your players, like he's designated for your guys for football?
Yeah, he's an off campus guy. He used to work with my brother Randy. He just retired. He was big into the P3 thing, which is an outstanding training program, and he went and got certified in all that. And he got certified in other strength and conditioning programs. And he basically has run that for us in the off season. And our kids love him. They have bought into it. And like I said, we were doing 5:30 a.m. workouts before school. And you wouldn't believe the turnout we had. You know, the kids were like, I want to get in there in the morning, get it done. And we were actually working out over at 24/7 Fitness because our weight room's great, but they have a little bit more over there, a little bit more space where we can do some other things.
Yeah.
And they hooked us up with really a great membership deal. And so the kids would meet over there in the mornings and we would go at it and then they would come to school.
That was my next question. Hopefully they took care of you to, you know, if you're going to bring over 10, 15 plus kids that they would accommodate for you. Yeah. And that's great. The fact that not only is it great that they're getting there at 5 a.m., and wanting to get it done so that their afternoons are free to do whatever they want to
Yeah.
do. I mean, how nice is it for them to start to build some type of rapport just with their bodies to be able, because I mean, we're in the valley, so there's shift work everywhere. They're probably going to be working 12 somewhere once it all gets said and done. It's just the nature of the beast up here in the valley. But they're training themselves to be able to get up on time and get, some type of workout in. I think that's great.
Well, and these are guys, again, a lot of them do have NCAA aspirations. They want to try to play at the next level. And if you're going to, those are the kind of things you're going to be subjected to when you move on,
Yeah.
And you might get up in the morning and go hit the weights and then go to class, and then you have practice in the afternoon, or vice versa. They may practice you early, So, they're conditioning their bodies, their minds for that type of discipline.
You got baseball dudes. I love it.
Yep.
So I'm going to pull the screen up here. We're going to talk about OVAC standings right now. I know it's just week 1, but it's always nice to talk about. So, like you said, last year you faced St. Clairsville in a dogfight for the OVAC championship. Right now you're sitting in second. Obviously, it's still early. You got Edison and Cambridge behind you. How important to you is OVAC compared to, just sectionals or something like that? Obviously, sectionals leads to states, but some coaches like, to set a goal. What are your goals for OVAC?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we would love to win. It's a great motivator at the middle of the season, and it's cool the way they do it, as far as getting it in obviously before the sectionals begin. So it's a big goal, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a small goal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Obviously, like you said, we want to get through the sectionals and try to win that last game of the year, but the OVAC is something nice. St. Clairsville, even though they're not the next town over, it's a pretty good baseball rivalry. Coach Sleva down there, he's been there forever too. And we've had some battles over the years. He's a great guy. He's fun to coach against because we jab at each other and everything, just being old friends. I respect him a lot. And, all those schools you see on that list right there, all those schools are great programs.
Absolutely. Any school down here in the bottom 4 or 5 that you think are going to, obviously, like I said, it's still early in the year, that can make a jump to get up into the top 4 and challenge, the other schools?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. I don't want to offend anybody. Yeah, no. You know what? We just played Harrison Central. Like I said, on Monday we played them in 2, and they are very young, but they are scrappy.
Yeah.
Mike's going to have them ready to go out there. They hit the ball pretty well. They make all the plays. So I look for them to make a big improvement. I have not seen Buckeye or Beaver yet. We actually play Beaver this coming week, so okay. I'm not exactly sure what they have. Weir's always competitive as they move on. So, and I know Coach Hayden at Oak Glen. I know he works hard with those guys. So, I mean, it's really too soon to tell, but they're all solid programs, and Beaver always seems to have one really nice pitcher. That's for sure. So
yeah, and they're under a new leadership over there at Beaver Local, from what I hear too. So I'm curious to see what that coach can do in turning that program around, because they're definitely in an area kind of away from, the Toronto, Edison area, where they can get majority of those kids out in that Calcutta, Beaver Local area to kind of stay there. So I'm curious to see what he can do there. Coach Valesco, he made a comment that they spend more time practicing bunting as Toronto does working on pickoff moves. I don't know how true that is.
Well, it's funny. We're going into the Harrison game. We told our third baseman, just stay up. They're going to try to bunt. And it's funny, when we do play Toronto, I tell our guys, when they get to third, don't even get off the bag, because they're going to try to pick you off. Either there or they always have the good spin move to second. So
yeah. Oh, good grief. I'm going to jump right over here into this next screen here. This one is going to be the coaches poll. Week 2 has already come out. Wait, is that the right one? Nope, that's not the right one. Hold on. Let me break. Still working on this. This one? Maybe? That's last year's. See, I'm still working on this. This is all new to me. I'm trying to be professional here, and sometimes I just outdo myself. So here's Division II here.
Maybe put my glasses on here.
Let's see if I can get it up higher. Creek's getting they got 3 votes down here at the bottom, so you're getting a little bit of love. Mm-hmm. Anybody on this screen that you want to shoot for as far as teams that you would like to see, maybe in sectionals, districts, or wherever?
Man, you know, I mean, just speaking locally, you know, again, St. Clairsville, I know they got a ton of guys back. They got a couple D1 talents on their team. I see Carrollton in there.
Yeah.
Who I know Coach Conley very well. I don't know much about their teams. We haven't played them in a couple of years. Yeah. But I know they have at least one stud on the mound. New Philly, we've had some battles with them over the years. They have a lot of guys back. So they have a really young coach there, young in regard to me anyway, who does a great job. And yeah, so you know, it's nice to get some votes. I'm actually a poll voter. I did not vote for ourselves. I don't, you know, my one assistant said, "Don't hurt your arm patting yourself on the back," right?
Right.
So, I know, yeah, but I'm glad. You know, it's nice to get some recognition. You know, we're now 4-0. The season's young. We have St. Clairsville, supposed to be St. Clairsville tomorrow. I doubt it's going to get played because of the weather, but we do. You know, the schedule we have coming up is tough. We got Saturday, we go down to Chillicothe, and we're playing against Ironton, who has one pitcher going to Xavier and another pitcher going to Miami of Ohio. They're both high 80s, low 90s. I don't know which or both. We'll see. You know how that's going to work out. But yeah, this is a big challenge on Saturday. And then we come back next week and we have St. C and Beaver twice. So we got some challenges ahead. So we'll see if we deserve any votes at that point.
So you're going to be in Chillicothe at the same time as Toronto.
Yeah, we play at 10 a.m. and they play right after us.
Okay, nice.
Hopefully the weather cooperates. It's supposed to be pretty cold.
It's going to be cold, yeah.
Yeah.
We were there a couple of years ago, and that good Shady Side team was playing after us, so we got to kind of scout Shady Side a little bit. Obviously, they were there watching us too, scouting us as well. I think we faced Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, and I think all 9 of their starters went D1 that year. So
yeah,
PBR is definitely something that we try to get onto, and I'm glad that y'all are out there as well. It'll definitely make for a fun weekend. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yep.
What are your expectations going into that game? You know, I mean, obviously winning. The obvious answer there is winning. But what are your expectations other than winning?
I expect us to go down there and compete and show that we belong there. You know, that you know, again, we talk about the off season. We have trained ourselves to hit guys that are throwing in the high 80s, you know?
Yeah.
So I expect these guys to be up for the task and up to the challenge and come out with their rear ends on fire and ready to roll, you know?
Good deal. I mean, if you got to get them up and going for this game, then something's obviously wrong.
Then,
but when we got
problems. Yep.
Yeah. But you sound like you got baseball guys that are already fired up and ready to go for that game.
Yeah, so they want to see guys like that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's who you want to compete against.
Let's see. We've talked about, what is your coaching philosophy? Like, I guess it always depends on the players that you have on your roster. But like, you know, Toronto works on pickoffs. Harrison Central works on small ball and bunting. What style of coach are you?
Oh, man, we spend – it's the little things on defense that I've seen over the years, the rundowns, the first and third situations, things like that. I remember when my sons were in Pony League, and I remember seeing first and third situations, and the guy on first of the opposing team would just take off the second, and there would be nothing to do to defend it. They would just let the guy go.
Yeah.
So when my boys were there, when I had time to be there, when our games weren't being played, one of the first things we would do is get the catchers involved, and we're going to make a play on these guys. We're going to make something happen.
Right.
So we spent a ton of time on defense. That's the old football thing. Defense wins championships. So
yeah,
I mean, anybody can go in and just hit in the cage and do that sort of thing. But we do a lot of that stuff because we're not going to get fooled when a guy takes off early at first, or a rundown's not going to cost us a game. Those little things we pride ourselves on working on. Obviously we do the pickoffs and the small ball and that stuff too. And but yeah, we spend a lot of time working on pressure situations, and making sure our guys know what to do with the ball when we get that situation happen.
Yeah. It sounds like we have the same style of coaching there. Defense has always been my specialty. Defense is what I got hired on at Toronto to do. I teach the travel teams defense. We go over first and third. We go over bunt coverages. We do all of those things. So I can appreciate the defensive side of things because I guess we got that same old school mentality. Now with the new age things that are coming up and evolving with scorekeeping, are you a game changer guy, or are you old school and love the hard book?
Both. We use Game Changer. We've used Game Changer since I want to say around 2017 or 18.
Okay.
Somewhere when it was relatively new. I think.
Yeah, it was really new.
So it's nice because I can go back and look at those old years, and it's everything's on her digitally,
Yeah.
But we still keep a hard copy of the book too, because just in case something gets goofed up, Game Changer sometimes if some crazy play happened can be a little bit challenging. So go back and look. But I love Game Changer. I love the instant feedback it provides. I love the fact that when we're playing a team for the second or third time, I can go back and look at that team's hit charts. It's all ready to roll for me, and I can print them out and hand them to my pitching coach, and my brother calls the pitches, and I give them to them, and they handle that aspect,
It definitely makes it a little easier on the scouting side of things too. Some of these teams go live, and you're able to watch that live stream, and you can kind of pick up on some things that one of their aces is doing when he pitches, and the pitches that he throws and stuff like that.
Right.
So it definitely helps.
Yeah. Now we haven't got into the video streaming portion of that yet.
Yeah.
I haven't found anybody that wants to do it for us yet.
Right.
But yeah, I know that's a function that's out there, but that's part of the negative thing to it is guys can, if we're getting ready to play Cambridge in a big game, they can pull up all of our old games and watch them like that. And you hate to be paranoid, but that is a negative thing to it. But the positive obviously is that if you got guys getting looked at, those coaches can, a college coach can pull that video up and watch that as well. So
yeah, it's definitely a great tool to use when you do go live. Now you can make it where you can go live, but people can't watch it, and it's only dedicated to the administrators for the team. And so it makes it great because then if somebody does have a really good game pitching or hitting, you can pull it up, and the screen clips are already clipped for you, so you don't have to go in and rewatch the whole game clip. You just go to that player. You can pull up a little snippet of that at bat that they did, and then bam, you've got your recruiting video right there to go on Twitter, and it makes it so easy. So I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm still learning all that stuff.
Yeah, we do it for travel ball. So I obviously scouting in that big of a thing for travel ball. But we are starting the process with some of our junior high kids to getting some videos out for them on Twitter and stuff like that. So we're able to pull those snippets and then put it on Twitter and, Baseball Youth of America, Perfect Game, blah, 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 all the normal people. Now, are you a big stat guy as far as do you let your players know their stats or how they're doing, or do you keep that on hold until the end of the year?
No, they can see them. The only time I've ever shied away from that is if I had people trying to use stats against somebody. I'll just leave it. You can take out how you want. So at that point, I've made them private, but I believe I have it set up right now where each player can see their own, and that's it. you know, and it's not a competition. You know, these guys are they're family, and they should, you know, obviously we're all pulling for each other. And so, I don't want to get into this where, hey, I got this, you don't have that. And,
and they probably know when they're doing bad and when they're on a cold slump and stuff like that. Yep. So it's not, you know, anything obvious to them.
You know, if you go back to the old days before they had all this stuff, I would go home after a game and my dad would already have marked on the schedule 0 for 4 or 2 for 3 or whatever. He'd have every game marked down. So either way, even if it's not on Game Changer, you're getting it from home probably.
Oh, absolutely. That tough love. I think it's still around, but I think it's not around enough in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the last topic here, it's going to be the big one, parents. I mean, it may not be a big one for you because you may have a good parent staff with you. What do you do preseason wise to let the parents kind of know your philosophy and how to handle things? Do you make them sign a contract? Do you just have a meeting? How do you handle parents?
Okay. So we have a meeting at the beginning of the year. My one request, you know, because questions will come up regarding, you know, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
My one request is that you'll wait till the next day. And if you want to meet with me, your son has to be there for the meeting. Because, you know, over the years, you get the phone call. Please don't tell Bobby that I called. He'll be embarrassed if he knows I called, things like that.
Yeah.
So if it's really that big of a problem, if it's a problem for your son, then they need to be there in the meeting so we can all talk about it.
Do you try to make the players come to you first before that situation?
I would have, yeah. I mean, that's a must. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're young adults. If they think that they deserve more playing time or if they're being treated unfairly or whatever, I think that carries a lot more weight if the student comes to me, the player comes to me and talks to me first. And then if we have to get parental involvement, it's fine. But that's the big thing is everybody has to be there together. The phone call where they tell me, don't tell them I called, that tells me that the son is fine with everything.
Yeah.
But the parent's not. That's the problem.
Right. So. Yeah. Now, something just came up and triggered in my head. Your softball team actually got turf this past season. Mm-hmm. Are there any plans for the baseball field to get turfed?
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's just when.
Right.
You know, people were always, are you mad because softball got turf? No, not at all. They've never had their own field.
Really?
For years, they played over at Bantam Ridge, the old Bantam Ridge fields, which are not there anymore.
Right.
So when those were taken out to build a new elementary school, they had to play down in Mingo by the Knights of Columbus at the old Mingo Little League fields. So they've never really had a place to call their own, you know?
Yeah.
So, that's my answer. I mean, they deserved a place, you know?
Well, it's not like your field is not bad. It sits up on top of the hill, so it drains. Yeah. It sounds like it drains pretty well. Mm-hmm. We played out there last year. That was the first time for me to see that field. So there's nothing wrong with what you have. I mean,
no, our field's beautiful. When we have it well manicured, which, you know, during our season it is, I put it up against any field when everybody was natural. I'd put it up against anybody's, you know.
Absolutely.
And I'm again old school, man. I like a natural field. I think it's safer. I know it's easier to just run out there and play on the turf, but we have situations where teams want to play even though when it's raining. You know, they want to play because they can, maybe not because they should.
Right.
You know? And I'll give an example. We were playing a game. Here was last year or 2 years ago. And it was Aiden Orr. Aiden Orr hits a ball in the gap, and it's raining during the game, and he goes around first base. And as soon as he takes a step past first, he slipped on the wet turf and came down on his left arm and hurt his shoulder pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know? And that's probably something that wouldn't happen, obviously, if it wasn't raining. And if we were playing on a natural field. So there's perks to it, but I think there needs to be some guidelines put in where if it's raining during the game, we're not playing. If the turf's wet, we're not playing because that stuff gets slick, you know, because you can't wear spikes, you know. And,
right.
But, you know, obviously it's a nice thing to have where we're not working on the field anymore. We can run right out and play. It's there. Other you know, middle school teams can use it with no problems, little league, whatever. the maintenance thing, but there's some perks to the natural field too. Hey, it gives us home field advantage. These guys coming off turf and then have to come to our field and field it.
Absolutely. I think that definitely does. I feel like all the bad games that Toronto played the last 2 years was on a natural surface, whether it be at Indian Creek or at Barnesville. Frontier, we actually played pretty well at Frontier twice now. Definitely Barnesville definitely ate us up with that all dirt surface.
Yeah.
It got the best of us last year for sure. So
yeah, and we've had where like Perk would call us, Toronto, he'd call us and say, hey, we're playing that we're up whatever place, can we practice on your field before, to get used to the natural surface. Of course, we would vice versa. If we're playing on turf, we either go out to our football field or I'd call somebody up and go to their place, and so it is a definite home field advantage.
Absolutely. So to wrap it up here, we're going to have some rapid fire questions for you. This segment is sponsored by Corey's HVAC for all your heating and air conditioning issues, from services, repairs, and installations. Call Corey at 740-317-3649. Pre-game meal. What is a meal that you got to have pre-game to kind of settle the nerves?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I'm going through on the way to the field. I'm going through McDonald's drive-through. I grab a McChicken and a Sprite.
Okay. And
then I'm good.
Good. So in game, if you're still kind of nervous or you're just in the game, you get a little craving. What's your in-game snack or drink that holds you over until dinner?
I'm stealing somebody's seeds. I don't know whoever's got them sitting around. I'm grabbing them.
So what flavor? I know if they're around, you're going to take them. But what's the flavor that you want?
Cracked pepper.
Cracked pepper? You're the second one that said cracked pepper.
Yep.
I can't get into it. It's just I'm a sweet and spicy kind of guy.
Okay.
I like sweet and spicy.
Yep.
Whether it be a game type situation or you're on the bus and you're traveling to a location or just taking a vacation, what's a song that you can listen to nonstop on repeat?
Ooh, nonstop on repeat. I'm probably going Paradise City, Guns N' Roses.
Okay, yep. Nice. It's the off season. You don't have any baseball going on. Your kids aren't around. Your wife's not around. You don't have anything going on. What's a hobby that you like to do in your off time? I'm
bow hunting for some big buck.
There you go. I got into another 30-minute conversation last night with Monroe Central's coach. He's a big fisherman, so we went down that rabbit hole last night with talking about lures and how to fish different spots and all kinds.
Yeah. Well, if you end up doing this with Sleva, that's what I'll be shocked if he doesn't say fishing.
Okay.
But I spend way too much time in a tree stand, and my wife lets me know about it. So
yeah. I've emailed him a couple of times. We're still kind of going back and forth on figuring out some dates for me and Sleva. So hopefully we can get that figured out. So, all right, Coach. Well, good luck to you for the rest of the season. Hopefully we can catch back up in the middle towards, the OVAC type thing, and we can kind of go over how the season's progressing. Thank you for jumping on this morning. Hope the field's not in too bad a shape and y'all can get going.
Yep. I hope maybe we'll get a dome. Maybe that'll solve everything. There you go.
All right. Get the Bo Jackson Dome down here.
There you go. Yep.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. Good luck for the rest of the season.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.